here is the AccuQuote dashboard. So when you log into AccuQuote, this is what you see first. The dashboard has two primary pieces to it. First is a weekly bid calendar. This is every job in the company sorted by bid date. And you can see we highlight the current date. On this screen right here, you can create a job. And we have a lot of customers that do that just to create a header. I'll show you that in a little while. That allows you to sort of track and manage your pipeline. You can also go backwards in time with this button and forwards in time and this button. If you get too far forwards or backwards, you can just click on this week and it'll just jump you right back here. Excuse me. You can also click on View All Jobs. And if you click on View All Jobs, you'll come here to this Job tab. Something I should mention is that AccuQuote was designed to be very easy to navigate and use with a minimal amount of training. So one of the things we did was this primary navigation right here never goes away. So you always know where you are, dashboard, dashboard, and you always know how to get to wherever it is you want to go because this is always present. So here's the weekly calendar, and this is for the entire company. Or if you are, we have 4 security levels. If your security level is set low enough, you only see your stuff. But most of our customers just let everybody see all the jobs that are going out this week. Down here is the second piece of the dashboard. So this is very personal to you. This is your job list. So these are jobs that you are working on, either individually or as a team. And a couple of things I want to show you real quick. We have these search bars in many screens. And if you just start typing, like I just typed Larry, and here's everything that has Larry in the name. This is a very quick way to get to the information you are interested in. Another thing you can do is, and this is on all the screens, is you can click these columns and sort them. So for example, what I see people do is if they want to see very quickly all their active jobs, here they are. Jobs in submittal are here. Here's all my open jobs. Here's my jobs that are in engineering. Here's my one job that's completed. Something else is that anytime you see something that's underlined like this is a link. If I were to click on any of these, I would go directly to that job. And I'll show you that in just a minute. So this is your dashboard. It's really designed for you to start your day, make you as productive as possible, see what's going on in the company, be able to jump in and work on whatever it is that you're working on, either together as a team. So you can have 5, 10 people associated with the job, whatever number, or it can just be you. So if you're associated with the job, it's in this list. So I want to jump over to our bid calendar here. So this, very functional, very straightforward. We love this. We got several of our customers to help us design this. So the first thing is that it's a month at a glance. If a bid date changes for any reason, you can just drag and drop jobs into different dates, and we'll take care of updating the bid date and all the back end stuff for you. So as dates change, you just drag and drop them to the new date, and everything in the back end's taken care of for you. You also have the ability to sort. You have 3 really good ways to sort the bid calendar. The first is the job status, and I'm going to click on that. So here, these are the standard statuses that are delivered with the system. So here's the engineering. We have engineering, budget, open, submittal, 1 active, lost, and completed. And then I created a Larry status just to show everybody that you can create any status. You can call it whatever you want, and you can put them in any order you want. So you don't have to use these. You can use anything you want at all as your statuses. These are completely customizable and orderable by you. And what we've realized is that that's important to many companies because this represents sort of the workflow of a job through the bidding process, to the winning process. So you can sort any of your jobs by job status. You can also sort by division. So this also completely customizable by you. Think of division as sort of your primary way to sort your business. So what we see is some people use geography. If you have multiple offices in different locations, you might have a Baltimore, division. You might have a Nashville division. You might have a Washington, D.C. division, or whatever it happens to be. So geography is one way we see people sorting. Another way we see people do it is by type of work. So we have customers that have a boiler division, and they have a venting division, and a chiller division. And then we also have some companies combine them. So they'll have Baltimore boiler, Baltimore venting, Florida boiler, Florida venting, that type of thing. Also, so this is completely customizable by you. And however you want to sort these jobs, you can sort them that way. So if you wanted to show me all my boiler jobs, you could get to that very quickly. Last but not least is assigned. So you can assign a job to someone and then track that. Very often this is the salesperson on the job. So I just started typing in Sammy, and as you can see, something that AccuQuote does to make life easy is it says, okay, here's all the people that are assigned that have that is their name. So I could literally just start typing, and it would say, here's what I have, and then I can pick Sammy Sales, for example. So if I wanted to see all of Sammy Sales' jobs, I just type his name or her name in here, and then click Update. And then here are the Sammy Sales jobs. So pretty cool. Now, here's something else that I didn't mention earlier that I should have told you about. If you mouse over a job, any job, as you just go and you want to see what's going on with these jobs, you get the job number that's assigned by AccuQuote. You get the job name that is whatever you type in. There's an alternate ID that you can assign to a job. So we built this because our customers have said that they might have another system, like a financial system, that assigns its own job number. So you can put whatever alternate ID, additional job numbers, whatever they happen to be, you can put them in that alternate ID field, and then you can report on it. So it makes it really easy to keep track of sort of the back and forth between the systems. You can see who it's assigned to. You can see the status of that job, and again, that would be whatever status you had assigned to it, and then you can see the value on that job. So this one happens to have $6,634.38 on it. These are also links, so if I were to click on any of these, it would take us directly in. So I'm going to get rid of Sammy Sales. So here's all the jobs that are out there. So status, customizable by you, sort however you wish, divisions, and assign. So 3 great ways to get to your bids and manage that funnel, that pipeline, right? So I've got a job here. I want to show you guys what a job looks like in AccuQuote when you're quoting. So I'm going to click on the sample demo quote. So there's really a couple of sections that I'd like to show you with this. One is this sort of upper section here in gray. This is called the job header. Next, we'll talk about these tabs. So these tabs all do different things, and I'm going to show you how you use those to manage the job throughout the system. And then last but not least, down here is where you're actually quoting equipment or services or whatever it happens to be, and we'll talk about that as well. So I've created a cooling tower group or a quote section, quote group, and I've also created a boiler, and this is one where we're going to actually add some equipment in. So, and then we're going to quote it. We're going to print the quote, and I'll show it to you. So up here is the job header. This is a sequential number that's signed by AccuQuote. So if the next job I create will be 53, then 54, then 55. If you look here on the job header, you'll see these little red stars. These are the required fields to fill in. So there's 5 of them, not very many. And this is what I was talking about earlier. We have a number of customers who create a job header as soon as they learn of an opportunity because it gives them the ability to track it. So you can create a job header by typing in these 5 fields in literally under a minute, and now it becomes part of your pipeline. So it's one of the things AccuQuote does, I think, is it's very good at sort of helping you track and follow the status of each job. So here's your job name, sample demo quote. I just typed in an address, 1200 HVAC Way. Divisions, you can have 1 or multiple divisions bidding on a job. So you can add divisions and you can take them away. So I can click on that. So I can add Baltimore Boiler. I can add Florida venting, I can add testing, and then I can get rid of them. And this is really how it works throughout the whole system. So you can add things just by clicking on them, and then you delete them just by clicking over here. There's like a little X over here. Job status. So here are those statuses that we talked about earlier. These could literally be anything you want them to be. For example, we have one customer that has a status called printed because they want to track when the engineering drawings were printed, because they sit around a big table and they get the drawings in front of them and they all talk about the bid. So they have a status called printed. So you literally could have anything you want. Who it's assigned to, I assign this one to me. But for example, if I want to change things around, I can assign this to Sammy Sales. So one of the great things I think about AccuQuote is you can update the system real time at any point. I also should mention that you can use AccuQuote on a desktop, a laptop, tablet, your phone, really whatever system or piece of hardware you have, you can use AccuQuote because it's completely browser based. All your data is stored and backed up every night in a data center that's managed by us. So you don't have to worry about anything but the selling, really. Here's the basis of design. So basis of design we know is very important. So you can track basis of design at the job level. So that's up here, right? And we'll get to this in just a minute. You can also track basis of design by specific bid or piece of equipment that you're bidding on. So here I made the basis of design carrier for this cooling tower. And here I made the basis of design Fulton for this boiler. And you can track those individually. Here's that alternate ID I was talking about. You literally can put in here whatever it is that you want that's specific to another system, and you want to make sure you know all the numbers that reference this sample demo quote, or if it's a hospital or school or whatever it happens to be. Here's your bid date. If you click on this, you get a calendar. It's pretty straightforward. You just click on the date you want to use. Engineer, you can track engineer, not required. You can also track general contractor. You'll see how we give you a drop down of all of your possible general contractors, people that you want to assign to this job. And if I click on them, just like over here with divisions, very, very standard operating procedure for all these fields inside of AccuQuote to make it easy to use. So you can assign different companies to this field, general contractor, and then the all-important bidders field. This works the exact same way. You pick people. So I can pick all bidders and stick them in there. I can have as many bidders as I want. I can just have one. I can have 20. It's really up to you. And the same kind of thing. You add them by clicking on them, and you delete them by clicking on them. And then your drawing date. So same kind of thing. We give you a calendar here, and you pick your date, and it works really well that way. Over here is something that I think makes us a little bit unique. These are the internal notes. So this is actually a real set of notes that I cut and pasted from one of our customers, and then I deleted all the data that was specific to them. So that's completely anonymous. So you can see here January 17th, there was 50% initial pricing due tomorrow. And we see this as a best practice, right? So you put the date, you put the initials of the person making the note, and then here is where you write out whatever it is you want everybody to know who looks at this job. So you can see in January, they were 50% pricing was due all the way through September 21st, best and final. So this is very helpful. This I'll also show you when we get to reports, because we have reports where you can see these notes by job. So it makes it very easy to keep track of when was the last time somebody talked to this opportunity, this customer, this bidder, and what's the status, okay? Up here, you can save the job after you make updates to it. You can duplicate a job. So this is very powerful. We have customers, for example, that bid on schools, and what they tell me is that the schools are very similar. So once they go through the process of bidding on a school, they'll duplicate a job, change the name and the address, and then make a couple of changes down here to the equipment that they're bidding on, and they're off to the races. I actually did this yesterday. I do all of my contracts for AccuQuote in AccuQuote, so I sort of have to eat my own dog food, right? So I quoted I sent a customer a quote 2 weeks ago. I needed to send another quote to another new customer yesterday. I just duplicated that quote, made a couple of changes, and it went out the door in about 5 minutes. So it's pretty cool. Here's where you can leave a job. If I click on this, now it says, do you want to join that job? If I join a job right here, if I join this job, this is what makes it show up in my job list that was on that dashboard. If you remember that bottom section of the dashboard and where it was every job that I'm working on, this is how you do that. So I'm going to join this job and I'm going to save it. There you go. All right, so that is the job header. Next up are these tabs. This is how you work through the process of generating a quote and then tracking what you won and lost, and also your job folder. So we're in Quote Builder right now. This is where you actually get into the specifics of what you're bidding. So you have quote groups. You can have as many quote groups as you want. This is something that we see a lot of difference on. We have some customers that put everything into one big quote group. We have other customers that have 10 to 15 quote groups. You may be bidding on different things within the same job, and you have different pieces of equipment or services that you want to send to different bidders. So if you have a pretty complex bidding scheme where you want one bidder to get a bid for one thing and you want another bidder to get a bid for something else, that's when you use multiple quote groups. And AccuQuote, I think, does a very nice job of sort of managing the details for you. It remembers which quote group goes to which bidder. And I'll show you how you do that. So here's that first piece of equipment. This is your cooling tower. I previously set this up, and I'm going to show you how to do this. It's very easy. Here is my manufacturer's ABC. This is my equipment, is my demo cooling tower, my model 4000s right here. This is my all important equipment line, right? So here's my description, cooling tower, model ABC, and here's another best practice. So I'm going to click on this because if you want to update any of this content, all you do is click on it. So it's very easy. So what we see as another best practice is that people like to put XXX whenever there's something specific, like a custom number or anything that they need to add to a quote, that when they create the template, they put XXX, the template is pulled into this quote, and then I can just add whatever I want. So I'm going to say webinar, and I'm going to update it. And now you can see the description here says webinar. So I have equipment. This piece of equipment, I'm selling one of them. I put in that it's $125,000. The list price extended is now $125 because it multiplies these two together. I put in a buy multiplier of 45%, so it says, okay, your net's $56,250. Some people sell using markup, and some people sell using margin. So we're very flexible. If you give us your margin, we'll calculate what the markup is, and vice versa. If you calculate a markup, we'll tell you what the margin is. Then we use those numbers to calculate your sell. We give you the ability to add freight cost onto anything. So I said this is going to be 1,000 pounds, and my freight multiplier is 33%. So it's going to add $330 onto this piece of equipment. Next is my alignment. This is really a field that gives you flexibility to add or subtract money to a job if you want to manipulate that number. So where I see people using this, we have customers they'll put $5,000 in this alignment field, and that will and they'll do that for startups. So they don't want to quote it separately necessarily. They just want to add it into the job. So I just added 5,000 in, and you can see it instantly calculated. It raised the price by 5 here. So here's my subtotal. So this is my price for everything that the customer is getting. Then here is this last column is anything that is optional for that customer. So you can see down here, I've got this piece of equipment. I've got several things I'm including with this piece of equipment. And then here, I've got an option, this EverTough construction. And this is just demo data. So I said there's 5 of them at $300, and it does all the math for me. And it says, okay, if if your customer picks this, it's going to be $1,031.25. And then I also said, hey, I've got a deduct. This JE Premier 304 stainless steel construction. I just copied this from I think the BAC website. I put in a quantity of 6. I said it was $1,000, so it says, okay, if your customer picks this, it's going to reduce the price by $41.25. So when you are creating a quote, you have the ability to create and bid on equipment. You can bid on anything that you want to include with that piece of equipment. You can have options or adders, as some people call them. You can have deducts. You can also have specify things that are going to be done by others here. And you can also specify something as NA. If you specify it as NA, you're telling AccuQuote, ignore this. Okay, you're saying, I don't want this to be part of the bid. So you really could specify it as an NA. We also have people that just delete it. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to keep that as an include. Oh, I clicked on that. So it said, hey, do you want to update that? So here is my grid is what it's called. And this is what I'm bidding. So let me show you real quick what this looks like. So I have this piece of equipment. My next tab over is my quotes. So I previously created this quote. I'm going to create another one in just a minute when we quote the boiler. So I'm going to print my proposal. When you print a proposal in AccuQuote, we give you 4 pricing levels. So you can quote one price if you want for the entire thing. You can quote by the entire project or job, and you can quote on group pricing. You can give equipment pricing, and you can give feature pricing. If you check these, we'll print every number that's in that grid will appear on your quote. While we give you all this flexibility, truth be told, most of our customers just do group and or lump. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do group price. I'm going to print this proposal. When I click on it, what happens is AccuQuote goes out and it creates a PDF of this quote. And here it is. So here's that quote for that piece of equipment. So you can see here, quantity 1, ABC cooling tower, model 4000. You can see here's where I changed that piece of content where I said webinar right here. Let me get rid of this note. Okay, so you can see the product details here. Here's everything the product details. Here's everything that's included with that. Here's the net price, 106,613.13. And then here are my options. If you remember, I had an option for EverTough that was a 1031.25 option, and I had this JE Premier 304 that was a deduct of 41.25. And then down here are my terms and conditions of sale and my signature lines. So pretty straightforward. That's one that I already created. So what I'd like to do now, actually, is show you a couple of other things. One of the things I'm really excited about, we just recently added this feature, is this job folder. So I'm going to jump over products won and lost and tracking just for a second. I want to show you this job folder. So if I click on this, you can see here, these are documents that are linked to this job. So you can connect or link any document. So if it's something that's in Google Drive, something that's in Dropbox, it can be on a local server in your office, literally anything. It can be from a website from one of your manufacturers. So what I wanted to show you here was I created a quote, a chiller quote on the 5th. Then I created another one on the 10th. So one of the things that we know people like to do is keep track of their quotes. So here is, if I just click on that link, here is the quote that I generated on the 5th. So if you want to see what did I quote before and what am I quoting now, you can keep all the history of all your quotes here. And if I click on the one I created today, it's the same. It's going to be the same thing. I think the pricing is a little bit different, but you can see here. Great way to keep the history of your quotes. Also, I wanted to show you, since we were bidding on this carrier, I went out to the carrier website and I found a chilled water system optimizer. So if I click on that, here is a data sheet from the customer. I mean from the manufacturer. So this is a great way to anything that's associated with this job, you can attach to that job. And now AccuQuote becomes the one-stop shop for everything that you're trying to keep track of. All right, so now I want to show you something. So we'll go back to the quote builder. Now I'm going to quote this piece of equipment, this boiler. As you can see, there's nothing here. So I'm going to add quote items. So this button right here is how I add things to my quote. So I'm going to click on add quote items. And now AccuQuote's going to say, it's looking over here in these templates and it's saying, okay, Larry, what do you want me to add in? So I have a manufacturer called Test Manufacturer. And I have, so just like with the search bar, just like with everything else in AccuQuote, if you just start typing, it says, here's what I found. Here's what that looks like that. So I could have typed Fulton in here. I could be typing Baltimore Air Coil. I could literally be typing whatever's in these templates. If I start typing it here, it'll find it. So I'm going to say, I want to use this piece of equipment. I'm going to do this condensing hydronic boiler. So I click add to quote, and then AccuQuote comes back and says, okay, great. Here's everything I know about the piece of equipment. So here's my equipment description, my manufacturer, my asset tag, which I don't have yet, my model. Okay, I wanted to show you this. This is the primary description. So I called it Test, right? Test offers a full range of hydronic boiler products, literally cut and pasted from the website. I also wanted to show you how you have a full editor here. So I said, please note this does not include, and then I highlighted it. I just like with everything else, like here's a typo, I can fix this typo real time. I can just go in and I can make changes. I can, just like with the grid, I can change anything just by clicking on it. So here is my description. Here is my internal notes. So this, we give you a place to put anything that you want to communicate to your team that you don't want to be on the quote. So where we see this is used most of the time is if somebody is, they say, if you're going to quote this piece of equipment, please call Bill at this phone number, stuff like that. And then here it says, okay, which quote group do you want me to put this piece of equipment in? So as you know, I've got the cooling tower and I've got a boiler. So I'm going to say I'm going to stick it in the boiler. And then we have some customers down here that call this the shopping list. So these are all the things that go with that piece of equipment that sometimes I sell them, sometimes I don't sell them. So I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to say that I want to include this, and I'm going to pick this one, and I'm going to say this is an option on this piece of equipment. And now I'm going to say, all right, AccuQuote, insert those lines. So as soon as I do that, now you see how down here in our boiler quote group, here is my my description for that piece of equipment. Here's my include, and here's my option. So now all I need to do is put in the pricing. So I can say there's one of these, and it's going to be, let's say there's $257,000. My buy multiplier is 0.65. My margin, I'll say my markup is 0.8. So there's my price, $300,690. It's 1,000 pounds. I'm going to use 34 as my my freight. So it says there's $340 on this. My alignment, I'm going to add 2,500 bucks in. And now I'm just going to keep tabbing. So what we see our customers do, they call it tabbing through the grid. So now I'm going to say I want one of these, and it immediately calculates the number for me. And then I'm going to say I want 3 of these, and there you go. So that's this. This is how you price a piece of equipment once you insert it into a job. Now here's something really cool I want to show you. So I'm going to save the job, and then I'm going to go back to my job folder. So in that template that I created, I'm going to show you that in just a minute, I added a couple of pieces of literature that are very important for this piece of equipment, right? So if I go to my job folder now, hang on one second. Let me go back to this template. So I may have made a mistake here. So I apologize. Link documents. Oh, this is my fault. I apologize. I've got, I need to add some link doc. If I had link documents here, like here, let me do this. Oop. Here is, let me add this. All right, so now I'm going to go back. So here I'm going to add in. This is good. You get to see me add. So here's the link. I'm going to say this is a carrier. This could have been easily a Fulton document. Carrier document. Oh, my fat fingers. Carrier document. I save that. There you go. Now it's saved to the template. I'm going to save that template. I'm going to go back to that job now. So I find the easiest way to get to a job is just to use the calendar. So I'm going to go back here. All right, so I'm going to delete this piece of equipment and I'm going to re-add it. So I'm going to save that job. And then I'm going to add that quote item. So I'm going to add that template. So test manufacturer here, add it to the quote. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to say add it to the boiler. This is actually good because you can see how quickly you can work through the system. I'm going to make this an option. I'm going to insert those line items. All right, so now I've inserted those line items. And if I go back to the job folder, you can see that carrier document is now here. So what I wanted you guys to see is if you associate documents with a particular piece of equipment, like if you had a Fulton video. We have one customer that does, they include the video from the manufacturer. They include schematics from the manufacturer. All that documentation that applies to that piece of equipment is brought directly into this job. So once again, making this job within AccuQuote the place where everything is. I've got my quote history. I've got any supporting documentation, videos, whatever it happens to be, is all right here, right inside the system. So pretty cool. So here is, I'm going to go back to this quote builder tab. So you can see I've got two pieces of equipment that I'm quoting now, right? I've got the one that we just looked at, and I've got the one that I just created. I'm going to go back through real quick, and I'm going to add, put in my pricing again. And I'm just making this stuff up, so I probably have different numbers this time than I had last time. 1,000 pounds, 0.33. And I think I added $5,000 to my alignment. And now here I'm just going to tab through. This is an include. So you can see the price is here in the subtotal. And then this is an option. So I'm going to say, I think I said 6 of those last time. So you can see now it prices it out at $979.88. So let me save that job. Something cool that I should show you now. We give you real-time numbers on every piece of equipment that you're bidding. So you can see here, here's the sum of your list extended, your net, your sell, the freight, the base subtotal, any options that are on the job, what your profit is and what your margin is on this piece of equipment that you're bidding. We also give you the same numbers on this piece of equipment that you're bidding. And then we give you the total for the job at the top here and at the bottom. So if you ever want to know how well am I doing on this job, what kind of money am I making on a job, or what kind of money am I making on a piece of equipment, here's where you go to see that real time. All right, so I promised you we were going to create a quote. So we'll go back to the quoting tab, and now here's where I say add a quote. So I'm going to add a quote. I'm going to click on today. I'm going to say that we're going to send this to Drew Mechanical. This is named after Drew, our lead developer. And then here's where I pick the groups that I want to bid. So I'm going to just bid the boiler. I'm just going to bid that one to Drew. My division, I'm going to say is Baltimore Boiler. My estimator is Larry. And I'm going to use conditions of sale. Now, real quick, what I want to show you here is you can have as many terms and conditions as you want, You can call there, it's very Microsoft Word like. So we see people that get real creative. They have signature lines, they have links to other documents, other things that they want the customer to see. We have some where the terms and conditions are very short and sweet. We have other customers where they're very long. So really up to you. It's Microsoft Word like, so you can create whatever terms and conditions you want, and you can have as many of them as you want. And then here's where you can put a little note if you want this to print at the top of your quote. Look forward to working with you. All right, so now I'm going to say, okay, create this quote. So now I've got two quotes. We have some customers that have 10 different bidders on a job right here, and it gets very complicated with which bidders get what stuff. So we created this generate quotes button over here. So if I were to click on this, it would create a quote for every bidder. So you don't have to go in one at a time. We had some people that like to do it one at a time. We have other people that want to do it in mass. So here's this quote I just created. You can see it says, I look forward to working with you. Now I'm going to say print proposal notes. So I'm going to say give me the group price. I have a cooling tower I'm bidding, you can see here, and I have a boiler I'm bidding, you can see here. So I'm going to get rid of the cooling tower because I just want to show you the new one that we did together. And I'm going to click on print proposals, and here it is. So here is that proposal we just created. Drew Mechanical, it says here, I look forward to working with you. That was the note I just typed in. Here's your job number, the date, the drawing date. You can see here's my quote group name is boiler. And then I'm selling one test manufacturer demo condensing hydronic boiler. Here's the description. Here's that highlighting I did earlier. Here's the include, the extended parts warranty. And then the net price for the boiler is $123, and then I have this option. Remember, I had one option for $979.88. Here it is. We put this below the price because the customer hasn't selected it yet. And then here's my terms and conditions, and here is my signature lines. Now, something you guys might be wondering is how flexible are we on this quote format? And the answer is very. If you are an AccuQuote customer, we will modify this format to suit your needs. What we have found is that most people want their quote to be distinctive, and you will make it look however you want it to look. So this would be your logo, of course, your address. We have some people that want the quote group printed and they don't want the equipment description line printed. We have some people that want a page break after every quote group. Whatever it is that you want us to do, we're happy to do. So this will look exactly the way you want it to, and that's done free of charge, no charge for that. All right, so back into the system. So now you saw me quote a piece of equipment and produce the quote for that. Now here, let me just go left to right. So products, won and lost. So here's everything I'm bidding on, right? So I'm going to go through, I'm going to say, you know what? I won this one. As soon as you mark something as won, then when you jump over here to tracking, see there it is. Here's that thing that I just won. Here's where you can track dates, submittal sent, order entered, order acknowledged, ship date, invoice date. This is also where you can produce a submittal. So submittal works the exact same way as the proposal or quote. Sorry about the giant logo, but here is the format for that submittal. So I'm going to shrink this. And the nice part about the job folder, which is right here, is that you print the submittal here, and then you jump over here to the job folder, and you can print out whatever documents you need here, and that can go as your submittal. We also see people that have printed their quote without pricing and use that as a submittal. So however you want to do it, it's fine with us. But this is how we facilitate whatever it is that you want to do, how flexible you want to be. So here's the quote builder. This is how you quote pieces of equipment. Here's the quote tab. This is where you print, your quotes. Here's where you track what you won and lost. Here's where you get into the nitty-gritty with the dates and everything for the tracking. And then here's your job folder, which has all of the documents associated with this job. So that is quoting. Actually, I'm glad that I made that mistake and didn't have those links in there, because I think I showed you how quickly you can delete something, add it back in, change it, whatever you want to do. It's very fast. I think we give you a great platform for centralized control of your specs, your costs, and your pricing. And because we give that to you, you can add and subtract pieces of equipment, you can change descriptions, you can change pricing, all on the fly, and then using your job folder, you can keep track of the history. So let me show you the template that created this. All right, so I'm going to go over here. Templates are one of the backbones of AccuQuote. I've created a bunch of these templates over time. These are not hard to create. In fact, they're quite easy. It will take you usually a week or two to figure out exactly how you want to use the templates. But then once you get one the way you want it, so I'm pulling this one in, this duplicate template. So just like I showed you where you can duplicate a job, you can duplicate a template. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to duplicate this template. I'm going to call it, the model is webinar. And I'm going to save that template. And now here it is. But if I go back into my templates list, we'll find it right here. Here's my webinar. See that? So I'm going to pick this one up. All right, so what do I put in a template? So you have an equipment description, you have a manufacturer, you have a model. Here's your primary description. So if you remember when I said, hey, I want to sell this piece of equipment, AccuQuote said, hey, here's everything I know about the piece of equipment. Well, it came here to get all that information. So here's my primary description, and here's that highlighted line that we talked about earlier, right? And just so you know, I can do spacing, I can left justify, right justify, I can bullet, I can number, I can underline, I can change the text. It's amazing. This is a full editor here. Here is my my internal notes. You can grab this little arrow here and make things bigger if you want to work on them, depending on how big you want them. Down here are my linked documents. And down here is everything that I sometimes include on a piece of equipment and other times don't include on a piece of equipment. So here you can see where I've marked all these as NA. If I were to pull this in, remember I showed you my shopping list? This is that shopping list. This is where that comes from. Let me show you an example of something that I did for somebody. They offer services. So let me find, here. You can actually create a template just for a labor package. So what I did was I created a template and I added in a project manager at $200 an hour and a labor class 1 at 150 and a labor class 2 at 100 and a labor class 3 at 100. So literally anything that you want to quote, you can quote. In fact, you guys probably get a kick out of this. I had a gentleman ask me one time if I could sell him a cheeseburger using this system. So here's my description, really big cheeseburger, tastes great, right? But then down here, I'm including a hamburger patty, I'm including fries, I have an option for lettuce and tomato, I have an option for onion, an option for peanut butter, and yes, I actually do put peanut butter in my cheeseburgers, it's delicious, you guys should try it. And I have an option for bun. So you can sell anything with this system just by putting it into a template and just use that template over and over and over again. So that's templates. So we've done the dashboard, the calendar. We had a pretty good look at a job and all the tabs associated with that job, including the job folder. Last but not least, I want to show you reports. All right, so you get a full reporting library with AccuQuote. If there's a report here that you want that you don't see, we'll build it for you. So all of these reports came from our customer requests. By far, the number one most popular report is the job status report. This shows by quote group every job that's got a quote associated with it. So one thing I want to show you real quick that we do on every report to make it really simple to use. First is HTML. So you can choose a report type. So your first type is HTML, which means just show it to me online. I could also select PDF, and if I do, then AccuQuote automatically just dumps everything into a PDF, or something else that's very popular is dumping it to Excel. So I'm going to say HTML. We give you a date range. Makes it very easy. You can pick today, yesterday, this month, last month, this year, last year. You can also have a custom range if you wanted to see from this Wednesday to last Wednesday. Really, whatever you want to do, I'm going to do this year. Here's where I can start filtering. So I can choose job status, right? I can pick a specific estimator. I can pick a specific salesperson. I can pick what divisions are bidding on what pieces of equipment. I can pick division itself, so the upper level sort. I can choose bidders that are in a proposal, and I can also look at bidders that are just listed in the job header. What we found is we have some customers that will add bidders to a header, but then they don't actually generate a quote for them. So that's why there's two of these. So for example, if I wanted to see everything for Drew Mechanical, so this is a very popular thing, and I want to see all my open jobs with Drew Mechanical in this month, I can just generate that report. And here you go. So here is everything for Drew Mechanical that is open that was generated this month. Just like I showed you before, here's your search bar, which I just start typing, I don't know, like if I just type DEF, there you go, DEF. You can see I've got DEF as some models that I'm quoting here. So whatever I start typing, I can get to very, very quickly. Here's my job ID, job number, job name, date, quote group status, basis of design, subtotal. So very profit, so very user friendly. I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to show you what we have people do. Some people use this in their Monday morning sales meeting. So I'm going to go over this year, any job status, any bidder. And here's my report. So there it is. That's everything in the system that matches that criteria. And then what we see people do is they do this. They click on this profit column. So you can see here, I have a job out there that's worth $1 million. And it's assigned to Blair. And I can see that on 10/10, Blair called, JKR added a note to this saying, I called Bill and he said that we won. And then on 9/12/18, JKR got a call from Jim about the BAFO. And 8/9/18, BPP, our bid looks great. So here's where you can see the exact status of the communication with that customer. And you can see how a lot of this, we have some customers that use this so extensively, we had to add a filter called print job notes because they wanted to print the report with the notes and they wanted to print the report without the notes. So that's reporting. You get all these reports. So job status, jobs in submittal, quoted equipment, though any job that one report. So here's a good one. Like if I prick the one report, I can sort, again, same thing. I can do HTML, PDF, or Excel. I can choose any date range I want, and I can sort by customer or by salesperson. So if I say by bidder, generate report of won jobs, here's all the jobs I've won by bidder, the net, the sell, and the subtotal on those jobs. So very fast access to managing your deal flow through your company before and after you win. Won projects, bid list report. This is another very popular report. This shows you every job in the system. So you can specify by bidder or by salesperson. So I'm just going to run it. But you can see here's every job that's been quoted or has been set up in the system, whether it has a quote or not. So that's your bid list report. Again, all these reports came from our customers asking us for them. You might notice that there's these orange buttons, and then we have these teal buttons. And the teal is how you customize a report. So as you noticed with the job status report, there's a lot of filters I can choose, right? So if you don't want to select those filters every time, you can just create your own version of the job status report by we'll store those filters for you. And then down here, you can see where I created a job status report, and I called it Larry. So I have a couple of jobs and submittal reports. I have a Monday morning report. So I have lots of different reports that I've created just for myself, from doing demos. But this is what you do. You actually can save these reports, and you can, then you're just clicking one button to run it instead of 5. Also here, this does not work right now. But what this is, our developers are working on this. What this is going to be is a week review. So you'll be able to create this report. It'll automatically be sent at a time and date that you assign to it. So it can be every Friday morning at 10 or every Monday morning at 9 or whatever happens to be. You can specify who gets it, and it will contain a list of all the jobs that were bid last week and all the jobs that are due to be bid this week. So it's sort of a to-do list for your sales folks or anyone else in the company. To keep track of, deal flow that's happening right now, jobs that have to get bid right now, or jobs that were bid that need follow-up. Over here is statistics. So we had some customers that said they wanted to look at their business without looking at just columns of numbers. So I'll show you this real quick. So this, we give you manufacturer performance in a pie chart. So as you mouse over it, it gives you the percentage. And we also give you here, if you mouse over here, we give you the actual dollars by manufacturer and by sales rep. And we give you the ability to then, if I click on combine, now I can see won, lost, and completed, where if I'm on open, I just see open jobs. So that in a nutshell is AccuQuote.